Well, greetings and welcome. This is the fourth of the series of mini lectures sponsored by the Loyola Marymount University Institute for Leadership Studies. I'm Michael Genovese, the director of the program. If you've stuck with us for all four, we thank you. You brave souls. Just to get a test, I see a show of hands. How many of you are here today? Show of hands. Good. Okay, I have no idea what. Before I get into my remarks, I wanted to thank the director and the technical genius behind this, and that is graduate assistant at the Institute for Leadership Studies, Noura Alavi. Thank you so much. You did a fabulous job. I hope you made me look good. If not, well, we'll have words. For the last of our four presentations, I wanted to talk to you about student leadership. The assumption is you will be leaders throughout your life, whether in formal positions, the head of a corporation, the manager of a Little League baseball team, the head of the PTA, or in informal situations, in a group of parents, in a group in your neighborhood. You will be leaders. And as students, it's a good time to test out the road. And so, what I want to do is talk to you about some of the key characteristics of effective leaders. Things that you might be able to develop as you go along. The first thing is, let's define what I mean by leadership. Leadership is not a destination. It is a process. Leadership. It's a process where the leader and the followers, leaders have to have followers. Without followers, there are no leaders. Where the leader and the follower, or followers, exchange ideas and agree on where they want to go. The leader helps mobilize that group of people to achieve those goals. And so most leaders are mobilizers. They don't come in from on high and bark orders. That's what a boss does. That's what a commander does. A leader derives his authority or her authority from those that are followers who cede to that leader some responsibility, some authority. And so it's a process of the leader and the followers or citizens agreeing that they want to go someplace. And the leader's job is to help mobilize the group to achieve that goal, to get to that place. Leadership is a team sport. Leadership isn't leaders, it's leadership. It's that process. And that process includes leaders and followers, and that's a team sport. So think of leadership as a team sport. It's not you barking orders, it's all of you working together. No matter how great the baseball team's center fielder is, if you've got bad players in the other positions and they don't play together, you'll lose. And so you'll notice in different sports, good teams can beat better talent. A good team with a good leader can beat teams that have much more talent. Leadership is also not about imposing your will or your view. Leadership is about serving. And so think of the servant model of leadership. It fits very well with the Jesuitical tradition of the servant leader. You are serving the people you lead. You aren't leading them in your direction under your command. You are borrowing their authority and helping them achieve their own goals. You're serving their needs and their interests. Next, it's not about the leader. There's a famous book called The Leader Eats Last. You're the last in the chain. Everyone else comes before you. It's not about you, it's about us. And that's why it's a team sport. Good leaders listen hard. You squint with your ears. You have to listen to be sensitive to what your people and those surrounding you want and need. And some of those needs will not be clearly understood or clearly articulated. That's where the leader may be able to discern what is beneath the surface. You say you want this, but maybe it's really that. And if you can identify what's really deep down inside, identify it, then you can help create a vision about who you are and where you want to go that can animate behavior. A vision is really a statement of purpose, of goals. My vision for the university, for example, my vision is to make LMU the finest liberal arts college in the West. That's my vision. And to achieve that, there's all kinds of things that will go into that. But unless you have a purpose, a vision, a goal, then you'll flounder. And so, again, the process of working with people to find out where they want to go, helping them to get there by mobilizing their activities and their strengths, and basically trying to persuade them and encourage them with the vision of where this will take you, how you'll get there, what it'll cost to get there, and what it'll be like when you reach that promised land. Leadership is also an attitude. It's an attitude that says we can do this. It's an attitude that looks at the odds and says, odds may be against us, so how do we overcome these odds? Most people look at the odds, and when they're against them, they simply give up. Leaders tend to try to find ways to achieve those goals, even when it looks like those goals are quite unattainable. They may be unattainable. But a purpose-driven life is key. Values are key. Vision is a key. And how does a leader get to that point? What do they need? Some people think, well, you need to have a strong, booming speaking voice. That's nice. I don't have it. You need to be tall and commanding. I'm not so much. You need to be X, Y, and Z. The most important thing a leader can have is good judgment. It's also the most difficult thing to achieve. The second most important thing a leader can have, but the most important thing we as human beings can have, is empathy. Empathy is the most important value. If you don't have empathy, you can work to become more empathetic. Go online, you can find ways that will help you. But empathy is the most important thing you can achieve in life, because it opens the door for every other good thing in life. If you are unempathetic, you are not worth following. If you are empathetic, you will be able to read the tea leaves that exist in your community and discern what the temperature of that community is, what its fault lines are, what its strengths and weaknesses are, where it wants to go, why it's not achieving its goals. Next, leaders need to be flexible and adaptable. Rigidity is the enemy of good leadership. Was George Patton a great leader? Only in times of war. In times of war, his style and skill set matched the needs of the times. But once the war was over, he was a terrible leader. Most leaders are leaders for all seasons, good leaders for all seasons, and Abraham Lincoln. You lead when the sun is rising and when it sets, in good times and in bad, because you're flexible and adaptable. Great leaders have a strong moral sense of gravity. Abraham Lincoln, the perfect example. Leaders, and this is a key for young leaders read biographies. When you read the biographies of some of the great leaders, business leaders, political leaders, one of the things you'll notice is how many times they failed. Read about Lincoln and his multiple failures. Read about the great leaders in business who will tell you the great stories about how they failed. But it's how you respond to failure and what you learn from failure that matters. But read biographies that tell you how great men and women became great, how they overcame odds. Great leaders have dogged persistence. They grab onto something and they don't let it go until they have to. Sometimes they hold on a little too long, but dogged persistence can be important. Finally, let me warn you of toxic leadership. Not all people in positions of leadership are positive reinforcers. Not all do good work. Not all bring out the best. We all know leaders who bring out the worst in us, who appeal to anger, who appeal to resentment, who pick on others, who attack others. We had that in our national past very recently, and it resulted not only in failed leadership, but failure to deal with the problems that we have. Climate change, economic justice, racial equality. Angry leaders don't solve those problems, they make them worse. You be the positive influence. And whenever there's a toxic leader, you can spot them a mile off. They appeal to what's worst in us. Our resentments, our angers, our fears. Those people are poison. Get rid of them. Finally, the difference between a boss and a leader is a boss will say, go there. A leader will say, let's go. If you employ some of these tricks, if you develop some of these skills, if you're sensitive to some of these things, you'll be a better leader, but more importantly, you'll be a better person. And the only person who's qualified to be a good leader is someone who is also, I think, a good person. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed and benefited from these 4 different mini lectures. I enjoyed giving them. Please always remember, bring out the best in yourself and bring out the best in others. Thank you so much.